going on, guys? Welcome to episode 142 of Noodle Time. I am your host, Mark Segovia, alongside my co-host, Andres Naranjo. What's going on, bud?
Pretty good, man. International break. There's just a couple things we have to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's funny. This international break couldn't have come at a better time, to be honest. You know, not just for the players, but I kind of feel for myself a little bit. I think I need a little bit of a break from the whole up and down and roller coaster of a ride that this Dynamo team's taking me on. But a lot of emotions, man. You know, last week I felt so confident in this team that they would, you know, do something amazing before the break came. That way, you know, they lead into the international break on a high note. But obviously, we know that wasn't the case. But before we get to all that, man, you know, how's your week been, man? Before we get into all the negativity.
Kind of good. Just kind of been able to take a breather before the South American World Cup qualifying kicks off again. It starts tonight, but Venezuela plays tomorrow night, and
Yeah.
we have to win tomorrow. It's been somewhat stressful.
Who do you play?
Though I would play Bolivia, even though it's probably the weakest team in CONMEBOL. We're still nervous. We have to win this game, and we have to qualify. I'm tired, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, the good thing about international soccer, well, you know, it's a little different than international break now because obviously, like all the European seasons are done with. Everybody's crowned a champion. Everything right now, everybody's focusing on their national teams and like Nations League qualifiers. Obviously the Club World Cup that's coming up pretty soon. You know, and for us, you know, on the USA side with the MLS going on break, you know, obviously there's nothing going on. Everybody's, you know, this is a true break from the season where all teams get to regroup, refocus, and hopefully return back with a vengeance. And that's what we're hoping for with the Dynamo because, Andres, the disappointment level, not good. I mean, dude, I was here last week on this show predicting a 5-0 win Dynamo against SKC. I said, you know what, man? 4 games unbeaten streak. We're playing against a bottom feeder in SKC who have no desire realistically. Like even the game when they played, they didn't look organized. They didn't look focused at all. They looked like they were just out there. And granted, the Dynamo played at down to their level and even worse than that. You know, I was thinking, man, you know, 13 points out of a possible 21. That's not too shabby for where we were. You know, 5-game unbeaten streak at that point. If we had won, you know, we go into a 2-week international break, get everybody refocused. We saw Inali come in. You know, obviously Holmes played his second game, debuted at home. We basically have our whole squad available except for Quiones when we come back from the break. You know, McGlynn will be back. He's on international duty right now, but it won't affect any games. He's not going to miss any games. Just you know, due to that until the Gold Cup commitment comes up later on. But with all that being said, I mean, dude, again at home, nonetheless, we get beaten down. I don't know. I don't know whether to take this team seriously. I don't know whether to be disappointed. I mean, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed. I just don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to feel. You know, obviously a lot of people are looking forward to the transfer window opening up in July. I mean, you know, that's neither here nor there. June is only 3 games. You know, obviously we're no longer in the US Open Cup, so that obligation is out the window, but we only got 3 games coming up. And 3 of those games against 2 of the worst teams in the MLS right now. Montreal and St. Louis. And then the SKC and a Minnesota team who we beat at home, at their house. I mean, you would think easy 9 points, right? I don't even know anymore. Your thoughts on the game against SKC, how you're feeling. Do you think this 2-week break couldn't have come at a better time, or what do you think?
My prediction for the game against SKC, you probably remember it, but I did say 3-1 Dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
And my main reasoning, and we kind of saw that early in the first half, right after Kowalczyk scored that banger. They have a very solid team, and I firmly believe that they are better than this. But it is extremely disappointing that when the moment matters, and especially at home, they just come out there sometimes at a place where your fans are watching, and even then, it seems like with a better crowd, whenever we have like a good crowd in attendance, like they just for some reason they just fall flat completely. They just fall off when it matters most. And this game against Kansas City, it was like extremely disappointing and an absolute failure. Just with a matter of not just us starting the game with the lead, but letting them get back in the game, come back, and put it away so late, and us having all that talent and just almost always when it mattered most, just like really not doing any type of difference whatsoever. And we did see like some sparks here and there, especially when Houston was like started the second half essentially with like losing the game. Like they just keep pulling out opportunities after opportunities, and they never convert. And this game against Kansas City could have been way different. Like, and Ali, we finally get to see him play, and he was one of the very few highlights of this game because he was just an absolute menace. I didn't expect him to like come out of the bench flying like that, but he could have had a couple of goals already, and he was just like extremely hungry to make a difference here. But it's unfortunate that with all the plays that he made, the ability that he has to like break through inside the box and beat defenders, he wasn't able to find like enough support. And Ponce was there and he was providing enough support, but you keep seeing Ponce here and there. He scores goals, but he's not scoring enough goals for a designated player, which is extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's I'm so upset about that because I was expecting 3 points here. I'd said that anything less than that is an absolute failure, and they just went another step, like 2 steps, like forward without, and they were like, "We're gonna lose really, really badly to this Kansas City team." That I do believe that they were better than last year because last year they were just mediocre, but the way that we lost this game was horrible, and I expected more from this team, and to kind of just put a little bit more emphasis on the schedule in May. Granted, we played back to back to back to back to back, and Ben also had to rotate and all that. But still, like it's every single episode that we record. I feel like teams, like we keep saying our playbook, teams only have to wait, like pressure us enough to make a mistake and capitalize on that, and not just that, but also they can just find a good enough opportunity to then capitalize on, especially the 2 goals that Jovic scored in quick succession to an extent, because it was like towards the end of the first half and then starting the second half to then later let Kansas City do whatever they wanted until we could score. You could also say that it was a little bit unlucky that we didn't score, but at the same time, that's how the game works. You have to score to get back in the game. So
take advantage of your opportunities.
Yeah, it's not black and white in soccer. Like it's a gray area. You have to be lucky enough for just find your luck. And this was a winnable game for Houston, and in a place where we're losing so many points, like it is at home, it is an absolute failure that we keep wasting opportunities like this, and it's extremely infuriating for like on my part because we've already lost so many home games to start the year, and we started the year in a pretty bad position. And I'm only salty because we managed to recover, which is the good news out of the month of May. we're still in where we managed to be fighting in the middle of the Western Conference, which is definitely great considering the way we started. And now it's just a matter of what we're gonna do next. We have to. We can always wait for Quinones, which I hope he does. It might be like another month or so until we see him again. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's still on the players. It's still on Ben Olsen. It's obviously still on the entire team. Like I can definitely give some slack to Ben about like the scheduling because I don't think Kansas City played a game on Wednesday before they traveled to Houston, so that could have been an advantage. But at the same time, we always have to be ready for any opponent, no matter what. So it's disappointing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and look, the first 15 minutes of the game, I was like, oh man, we got this. And then obviously the Kovalovich goal, great goal, awesome goal. And that's one of the reasons why I had such high hopes for Sebas coming into the season, because I know he's capable of those outside shots and those long range shots and shots like that, right? And to see him score like that, and obviously Linger being involved with the 1-2 and giving him the ball to be able to score that golazo, it was a great showing. But then after that, it was just like, it just crashed down. And and for those who follow the show, and especially since I've been on the show, I mean, y'all, you guys know that I've been, way in ahead on the Ezekiel Ponce fan club, right? But I mean, I have to, unfortunately, agree with what you said earlier in your comments. Ponce is not doing what a DP striker needs to be doing. Like it feels like every week he gets a ball on the head and he heads it straight to the goalkeeper. Like I said, he's not getting a lot of service, but I mean, as of late, he's getting a little bit more service than what he was getting in the beginning, obviously, and that's good. Obviously, like I said, we're getting healthier. We're getting more players with talent in, and McGlynn is starting to build his character and gain confidence as one of the top players on that team, and has improved his free kicks and stuff like that from the first couple of weeks of the season, and he heads it, and it's and it seems like it happens three times a game. He gets the ball on the head, and it goes straight to the goalkeeper, and I'm like, man, this guy. I mean, he gets he gets there, he gets the head on the ball, but man, if this guy can just do something different, I'm not gonna go up there and be like, oh man, I would have done this, because no, man, I'm not a professional player, but like, God, it just feels like he should be around 8-9 goals already, at this point, I said, like I said, granted, we're gonna give him the benefit of, I'm gonna give him a little bit of benefit of doubt, because obviously we started off so slowly, but like I said, up to that point, 4-game winning streak. I mean, look, yeah, we could make the excuse of SKC didn't have a Wednesday game, but we were heavily rotated on the Wednesday game against NYCFC, and we pulled out that win. Our main guys rested, for the most part. It goes back to the whole point of, like, I don't know how to really gauge this team, because you go to the West Coast, you're winning 2-0, then you lose that 2-goal lead, you're down 1 by 3-2. Dorsey scores the game time goal at the end to salvage a point on the road. But okay, you're like, okay, fine. You know what? Whatever. A road point is a road point. It's a golden point, right? Cool. You fly across country to a midweek game against New York City FC, and you heavily rotate, and you win 3-0, and you're like, oh crap, this is wow, and then on top of that, you get to come home with your main players, your DPs, rested, because they only played maybe 30 minutes tops in that NYCFC game at home. the last game before you get 2 weeks off, and you shit the bed like that, man. It's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating as a fan and as a supporter to see this team not understand the situation, and like SK. And to be honest, SKC didn't play that well. I'm gonna be honest with you. They played really lackluster. But the thing is that the Dynamo played at their level and below their level, so that's why they were able to score so easily and do what they do. And it's like until when Djokovic scored the second goal, that's when they're like, oh, it's like they snapped out of it, and they're like, oh, we got to go press and pressure and try to attack and get this game back. But then they're so focused on trying to get that game time goal. What happens? They get beat on the counter. Munoz scores his first goal. Game, set, match, right? And that's the disappointing thing about this situation, that I can't really. I don't know. I don't know if the Dynamo are in the playoff positioning that they're in because they're picking up steam and they're becoming a good team, or just the West has so many sorry teams this season where it's kind of just falling into our laps. I mean, realistically, I was looking forward. I was like, man, you know what? The sorry start that we had, we might end up 6th or 7th place by international break in the Western Conference, right? And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. That's an amazing accomplishment. But no, I mean, we're in 9th place, and to be honest, I don't even think we deserve the 9th place that we're in right now. Like I said, I feel like that playoff positioning has fallen more onto us because, like I said, we've given. I mean, not just the disappointment into this game. I mean, there was the game against San Jose. Like I said, it was a win. What ended up being a tie. The game against the Galaxy earlier, we're winning, and ends up being a tie. There's another the FC Dallas game to start off the season, winning.
Yeah, that reminds me.
I mean, well, Miami was Miami. They those guys came and ran through us like nothing. So I mean, but that's 3 games right there where we were winning and we ended up with no points or a tie. Those 3 games right there, 9 points, and we ended up with 2. And it's a disappointing thing to not have the consistency and just the the presence there. Where this is where I feel like we really need that vocal leader, that vocal captain. And this is no disrespect to Arthur, who's a great player. And he's out there. He plays his part. He might be a starting MLS All-Star this year. Who knows? He's obviously deserving of it. The way he's played, the kind of type of player he is, and all that stuff. But he's not that vocal voice. This is where we miss that Ache type of player, where he's vocal. He brings everybody in. He calms everybody down. Where if he sees that the game is going too fast and is getting out of control, he stops the motion and stops the movement and controls the ball and tells everybody where they need to be at. You missed that player coach on the pitch telling the guys, hey guys, chill out, relax. I know that we're trying to get the ball, we're trying to get this game back, and we're trying to score the next goal to tie it up, but we're harming ourselves because we're leaving ourselves open to a counter. We missed that, and yeah, it's just one of the weaknesses that we have right now, man. It's just truly disappointing. And like I said, I don't want to harp too much on it because, like I said, it's in the past now, and obviously, we have a couple of weeks, over a week and a half to recruit, rejuvenate, and hopefully return. And obviously, the first game's against Montreal, and obviously them being one of the worst teams in the league, I hope that we can go up there. I think that's at home. I hope that we can play. Yeah, I hope that they, that we don't let that team come in here and pull out a win on us or gain points on us. I mean that that team literally has one game won. And then on top of that, June 14th. I mean, it's gonna be scorching. It's gonna be one of those first hot Houston summers where it's gonna be game time is gonna be 90-something degrees. Humidity is gonna probably push it to 100. So I mean, it's that home field advantage that we supposedly have and should be taking advantage of. But I mean, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But you know, looking forward to June. Andres, obviously, I mentioned there's only 3 games, right? Only 3 games, and for the most part, it's against 2 teams that are doing really, really sorry, and then a Minnesota team that we beat earlier at their house. What do you think? What do you think needs to happen in this June? I mean, look, do we need to gain all 9 points to really get the shit back right, or what needs to happen? What needs to happen? I mean, you have 2 of the bottom feeders, St. Louis and Montreal playing at home, I'm sorry. Do we play at St. Louis or do we play here? Do they play here? I'm looking at the schedule wrong.
The Minnesota game is on the road, and we play St. Louis at home.
There we go. Okay, so St. Louis and Montreal are here, and Minnesota's on the road. What do you think? What needs to happen?
I fully expect us to get both wins against Montreal and St. Louis. And Minnesota game, I feel like it's going to be a little bit tricky because Minnesota, I believe, they're pretty good. And they've been somewhat consistent at home. And they just like to do this. Like I was saying before against Minnesota, they've to an extent, they know how to play against us. And at home, I do recall like last year we did get like a pretty good result out there. And I feel like this year might be a little bit more difficult. And they can definitely pull it off. It's a road game, and it's a place where they've been seeing a lot of success. And what I like about this schedule, at least, is that we do have the Montreal game 2 weeks from now. And they're also going to have a bye after that game. And they're going to have back-to-back games in the same week. The road trip against Minnesota, and then they're back home in Houston to face St. Louis. So they're going to have plenty of opportunities to not just rest, but also keep up their momentum, assuming that result against Montreal is a win. Better be, because it's going to be beyond disappointing and a failure. But
it's going to be hell.
But yeah, like a minimum, I do expect like 7 points. And if the Minnesota game goes out all a loss, it's really gonna depend on that game and how it really turns down. But I do expect the 2 wins against Montreal and St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we should have everybody healthy, ready to go. I mean, like I said, one of the bright spots about the Sporting Kansas City game was seeing Lawrence Inali on the pitch. He looks like he hasn't lost a step, but obviously I don't want to rush the kid. Obviously I'm glad that he got some minutes in that game, and now he can work on getting the chemistry back in practice and all that good stuff. Enjoy a little bit of a time off, doing what he does, and hopefully we get to see him. I'm sure we're going to get to see him further on, and he's going to make an impact on this season. Now, do I think he starts against Montreal? Maybe not yet. Maybe you gotta get him a couple games to get his fitness level up, and obviously, and during the hot summer times, it's kind of hard to play a full 90. Coming off an injury, it only being your second game. So, and like I said, I don't want to place all too much on Inali. I mean, even though I know we have a lot of excitement towards the player because of what he showed last season and how, like, when you see him, you notice there's a difference. You notice when he has the ball, there's a difference in talent when he possesses the ball. I think that's one of the things that unfortunately, because of his injury, we lost the opportunity of seeing that last season. But even now, so like I said, I mean, what did he play? Like 15, 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. He was ready to go. He was flying by players. He was passing the ball easy, and the game just looked slow to him, and that's good because, I mean, obviously it means that he can do whatever he wants to do on that pitch. And I feel that he's going to be one of those players that is going to really put a stamp on this season on whether or not the Dynamo are going to end up being in the playoffs or not. And I think and I have high expectations for him, but like I said, they can't just be all put on him. We need, like I said, like you and I mentioned earlier, we need Ponce to start scoring goals. We need Linger to start being involved more often. Obviously he's our DP as well. I mean, that designation as a DP weighs heavy, right? But if you coming in with that, and you have that label on you, and the club decided to pay whatever they decided to pay for you, and you're that type of player, you have to show up. You have to make us see as supporters why you were considered for that under that designation. I mean, obviously he had a great start, 2 games, 2 goals, but kind of really fallen off a little bit. I mean, obviously I know he's assisted in a couple of games, obviously in the US Open Cup game against Phoenix, and then obviously this last game against Sporting Kansas City got another assist on the Kolovic goal. But I just feel that he needs to do more. I mean, he needs to be more involved. I mean, when you're one of the top 2-3 players on the team, you have to carry. You have to do more. That's just what it is. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, I know it might seem unfair, but that's what a designated player does. They take the responsibility of knowing that they're one of the leaders on the squad, and that they need to help improve the players around them. But I have to agree with you. If we're not at least getting 7 points out of these 3 games, then man, obviously, you're kind of. I guess I'm kind of hesitantly penciling in 2 wins against Montreal and St. Louis, obviously, right? And then you're obviously all hoping for the tie and obviously maybe even the win against Minnesota. But man, if I don't know, if somehow we just don't get these wins against St. Louis and Montreal, it's gonna be crazy, man. I don't know. I won't know what to expect. I won't know how to feel. I don't know where this club is going. Like if you have these teams in the bottom of the table taking points away from us.
And this month is going to be critical because, as you saw today, Jack McGlynn got confirmed to be part of the Gold Cup roster for the U.S. men's national team. We kind of figured that he was going to be in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
But today it was pretty much made official because the previous roster that was announced was just the preliminary one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty bad for us because he's going to be missing almost the entire month of June and potentially more if the U.S. advanced past the group stage.
Mm-hmm. That's just shit.
Like, best case scenario for Dynamo, he could make an appearance against St. Louis at the end of the month. But then again, it really depends if the U.S. fail to qualify to the next round. And we just say that because Jack McGlynn, he's one of the best players in the team right now.
He is.
He's just, he's just involved in most of the goal scoring plays for the Dynamo. Like, he's just our free kick specialist. He's gonna drop back. He's gonna create the plays. He's gonna be the closest player that we had to Hector Herrera to an extent, and he's just showing up in his first year with the Dynamo. He's paying off completely, and this is gonna be the first time he's gonna be away for almost an entire month. So
yeah, this is where you expect players like Dwayne Holmes, who obviously is barely getting minutes, and this and that. This is where he comes in and steps up and showcases his skill level, and and showcases why Pat and the front office decided to bring him in from the championship side. Obviously Linger, like we mentioned earlier, another player who needs to be producing on that level. Ladero, depending, he's, even though I know he's an old veteran, but a player with a lot of a high IQ in soccer. Can do a lot of things. Maybe he doesn't have the velocity that he used to have, but he has that huge soccer IQ and should be able to do things, especially against teams that are less talented than us. That's the thing.
Yep.
I mean, it would be one thing if this June and these 3 games were against Miami, Columbus, and Vancouver, right? But no, we're not playing the top tier, the top echelon of MLS these next 3 games. We're playing 2 bottom feeders and a team that's on par with us, basically, realistically, and we've already proven that we can beat them already in this season. So I mean, we're not asking the world for, I mean, obviously losing McGlynn is tough, but I mean, like, dude, this is where the next man steps up and and showcases that, hey, maybe I can fight for the starting spot. And when McGlynn comes, it might not be such a easy, oh, here you go, here's your spot back again. Like, I would want to be taking advantage of that opportunity as a person moving up into that position, or being considered to play in McGlynn's spot while he's gone. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what's up. I mean, like I said, I guess one of the great things that's going on is just that the club is getting healthier. Obviously, we're starting to see the players that were signed during the winter window start, and play minutes and be involved. Obviously, and I can't stop reiterating it. But I mean, it's great to see Inali out there. It's really good to see Inali. I mean, I think I don't know what we're gonna do this summer transfer window, if there's anything at all. I mean, obviously, there's been a couple of rumors that have been out here and there that we spoke about last week, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I mean, aside from that, I mean, getting a player with the capabilities of Lawrence Inali back, it's a big boost, and I hope that he's able to showcase his skills on the pitch and help us progress forward in the season. But with that being said, Andres, obviously the transfer window is opening up around the world. LAFC, Inter Miami, and Sounders are going to be able to enter the transfer window for this. Well, they are currently in the window open for them because they have Club World Cup coming up pretty soon. The rest of MLS will have to wait till the 24th of July, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the date for the transfer window to open. So that's about a month and a half away, obviously. But I mean, there's been a couple of names leaked out. I mean, I know we talked about it briefly last week. I mean, to put you in Asher and Pat's shoes, man. Like, what is one thing that you're looking for this summer transfer window? Like, if it's one type of player or position, obviously everybody wants to go for the DP player, but I mean, just one, like, what kind of player would you be looking for to bring in, like, as soon as that window opens?
It's a good question, honestly, because there's so many approaches that they can go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I want them to cover right now is just really, I like to say, at least depth in the back line, or rather just a fullback that can just play a little bit over the top to help push the attack. Because for me, it definitely comes down to having support for Griffin Dorsey, because he's not going to play every game. And it kind of sucks that we have to make adjustments for players that don't necessarily play that part. And I also don't like to see Franco Escobar having to play out of position at times here and there. But Franco Escobar is also one of our best players, and he has to be rested as much as possible.
Yeah,
I like to say fullback because, like I said initially, it's definitely another piece that we can put up forward. It can just be another type of Dorsey player that used to be playing up top and now plays back, and it can definitely work for us. If it's not a fullback, a center back that can definitely assist with our issues in the back line.
Yeah,
I know that we just signed Ortiz, which is good, but the way things have been panning out, it's a little bit concerning. Obviously, there's still time. It could be like another Mikhail situation, because Mikhail started badly for us and he turned out pretty good.
Yeah,
and he could still be acclimated. I hope that's the case. And of course, we do have Quinones coming back. We do have Finales back, and it looks like he's gonna start very soon. Like the front line, it's really debatable because we still have Gabe Segal behind Ponce in the striker position. Obviously, we just put in Andres Linger, and that's the main reason why I feel like they might just look in the back line first, because we already have like a ton of attacking pieces on top of Quinones coming back eventually. So I feel like they might just address the back line because of that, or add a piece that can just like assist with the attacking front, because I feel like that's what the things that we're missing, and just like presence more than anything that for a player that can just. I'm asking for too much when I say put the ball in the back of the net, but I'm more concerned about having more opportunities for Dynamo to create more goal scoring chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I have to agree with you with what you said right now is somebody who brings presence. Now, whether that's on the defensive side or offensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously that's to be determined. I think obviously the emergence of Felipe Andrade, and then obviously the Pablo Ortiz and those guys coming in and doing what they do is it's been a great surprise, and it's good to see those guys getting acclimated so quickly and doing a great job on the defense. And obviously, Obafemi starting off as a true rookie, from the start of the season, how he's gradually grown and matured in that spot, obviously, right? And then obviously the old veterans of Escobar and Dorsey and Bartlow as well. The defense, in my standpoint, I feel like they're doing really well. Given the circumstances, obviously, I think that they do need that leader, like obviously what Eric was meant to be, that vocal leader to get them all, united and in sync, and things of that nature. Because obviously you see the letdown and the dysfunctionality of the defense when a counterattack happens. I mean, Sporting Kansas City basically split them open, on that counterattack, and that goal was you or me could have made that goal, Andres. So I mean, yeah, I think for me, as far as the summer transfer window, I'm not necessarily looking for like a DP type of level player. I'm looking for a player with presence, somebody who can come in and be a leader on the pitch with his skills, and a vocal leader, like somebody who isn't gonna tolerate the bullshit, who isn't gonna tolerate the hey, the lackluster trying to get the ball back or whatever. Like, nah, man, we have to put our full effort into these games. I'm not gonna sit here and say and disrespect the players and say they're not playing 100%. I'm sure all the players are trying to give 100% of themselves each game, every play. But I gotta go with what I see on the telly and the results that we're getting. I mean, we're just not there fully, and if we're to be taken serious and be a true playoff contender, and maybe even like a dark horse for MLS Cup, we can't allow these mistakes to continue to happen. We can't allow these teams that are less talented than us continue to take points away from us. We can't allow games to slip through our hands on a constant basis like they have been, and that's just that. I mean, it's so if anything, I mean, like I said, obviously, would it be great to get a name brand player who could come in and take over a game by himself when we need it? Yeah, that would be great. But I'm being realistic. I'm being realistic as far as being a Dynamo, putting myself in Pat's shoes or whatever. Like, I think we just need a true field general, a true leader. Hey man, call Luca. I mean, they're on vacay already. Maybe Achi wants to come back a little bit. So I'm just kidding, man. Just kidding.
I mean, it kind of got me by surprise. Like, look up, like Modric just going to Serie A. I was expecting him to just like go to Saudi Arabia or MLS.
Well, look. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, like I feel like kind of shows his his greatness as a player because
Mhm.
obviously he won the Ballon d'Or and he's a Real Madrid legend, and teams still value him that way, which is insane. And I just wonder if what could it be the difference in MLS, especially
Oh,
for
for
De
sure.
Bruyne. Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, see, and this is the thing. I mean, I'm not just speaking on the Dynamo front. This is just on the MLS front right now. I mean, like you had a player who, and especially speaking like somebody like KDB, 33 years old, 34 years old, 33, 34 years old in today's world isn't what 33, 34 years was 15, 20 years ago, right? That would be the time where players start hanging up their cleats. They start looking old. Like, nah, man, with today's science and the medical stuff that we have and the enhancements that we have nowadays, like these players are playing all the way up to 40. I mean, like I said, Modric, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing up to 40. He's that type of player. I mean, he's to be honest, then this might sound disrespectful to Modric, but I mean, but it really isn't. He's like really like a poor man's Messi, you know. Not, I mean, and shit. I would love to be a poor man's Messi. Shit, don't you know? I mean, and obviously we know all the accomplishments that he's made with Real Madrid and Croatia and all that stuff and all the honors and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously dude, would I be surprised if Modric goes to Milan and has a great season? No, because he's a player who takes his profession seriously and he wants to go somewhere that's challenging for himself, right? Yeah, he could have came to MLS, and I'm pretty sure he would have dominated in MLS, regardless of whatever team he would have got on. But I mean, he felt like what, I can still give it a go at the top level in Europe, and Milan is willing to give him that opportunity, and if he does great, I mean, shoot, he might stay even longer. We might not see him if we ever see him in MLS until later on, and I know that people sometimes have a bad taste in the mouth about bringing that, a late 30s, early 40s type of player. But I mean, shoot, I mean, those players are still dominating the league. I mean, obviously Messi's Messi, but I mean, Suarez is doing the same thing, and it's until you show me otherwise. I mean, I'm allowing these players to keep coming into this league, and it's like, if the Dynamo are ever able to get a hold of somebody like that, of that stature, that would be great. Even if they're 37, 38 years old, if they're able to showcase and play the game like at a high level for MLS standards, it doesn't matter. Age ain't nothing but a number. So I mean, you know, but I guess I will, without going too further out to, obviously into imaginary world and all that good stuff, I mean, we'll see what's up. I mean, obviously it's a little early to be talking about summer transfer window. I mean, we have a lot of stuff between now and that time period to get sorted out, and these 3 games in June are going to really dictate and determine where we're at that time period, and what we really need. I mean, hopefully, like I said, we don't have, I'm hoping that, the injury bug doesn't hit us. I hope everybody that's coming back comes in and is ready to go. And we'll see what's up. But, obviously this show, Andres, I'm sorry, Andres, anything you want to add before we move on?
Honestly, yeah, that's about it. Honestly, because I was mostly just thinking about like Jack McGlynn's influence for the rest of the month, because I feel like that's something that Dynamo still have to prove, and hopefully they play well. We'll have to see, but
yeah, man. I mean,
I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, as a supporter, you have to be. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, because you feel that the team should be thriving now, but then you have this little setback, and who knows? Look, this game might be a little setback, and then they go out and dominate the next 3 games, and we're like, oh man, what do we know? I guess they just were really anxious to get to that 2-week break, maybe, or whatever the case may be. But it's just, but I can't think like that, as a supporter. And as somebody who supports his team, and we're living and dying with this team, right? Because we see the table and we see how close everything is to us being to being a top of the table, but we also see how close everything is for us to falter and fall to the bottom of the table. It's that evenly paralleled here in this conference, and it just, man, sometimes it's disappointing when we can't grab the bull by the horns and take advantage of these opportunities. But I know this show's it's flowing a little different, and it's not flowing as much as normal show would be, because obviously we don't have any games to preview, and we don't have any games to come up that are coming up and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a little bit of a break for the Dynamo, and it's obviously going to be a little bit of a break for me and Andres and the rest of the Noodle Time staff. Shout out to Juan and OSG as well, guys. What's going on? But with that being said, Andres, I'm gonna ask you a question, man. That's the question I've been asking a couple of weeks now straight. Obviously it's better than the one I've been asking in the beginning of the season. But I'm gonna ask: are the Dynamo playoff bound?
I still believe it.
You still believe it?
I still believe it, even after that loss against Kansas City. Like, you can call it what you want. It was extremely disappointing and a failure, but I'm still optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, man, you feel like a fool sometimes, because like I said, I was on here last week as confident as possibly could be.
Yeah,
I said 5-0 on this.
Mm-hmm.
I said 5-0.
Yeah, I remember that.
I said 5-0, and I look like a fool. So I don't like looking like a fool, but I mean, I guess when you have a platform and people watch it, and then you're out here saying crazy things, you gotta eat crow when the stuff doesn't happen. So right now I'm eating a whole plate of crow, courtesy of the Dynamo. So thank you guys. But yeah, man, it's yeah. I mean, I still think that they're playoff bound. I mean, a lot of the teams below us. I mean, I guess you never know, what those teams could do in the summer, or what injury bugs go away and they start healing their players, and maybe they make an astounding comeback. In MLS, you never know. The regular season, it's always up and down. This not like the table's always up and down. Like I said, we were 11th, now then we're 9th, and then we had the possibility of being 6th, 7th. No, we're back at 9th, and here we are in 9th place right now. So it's a ever never ending game of roulette for us right now as far as MLS regular season goes. Andres, anything else you want to share before we get to the end of the show? I know it's a little bit short today, so is there anything else you want to add, or something that we might have missed?
Yeah, that might have been. I did add the Jack McGlynn thing, and yeah.
Well, shout out Jack McGlynn, man. I know. Hey,
yeah.
So it's the first Dynamo USA men's national team player since the when was it?
Who Beasley.
The Marcus Beasley. Obviously the Brad Davis era, the Stuart Holden, Jeff Cameron era, and stuff like
Brian
that.
Ching,
I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's good to have those national team players on your squad. Especially a domestic one, and Jack McGlynn. So hey, man, shout him out. The floor is yours. Shout out.
I mean, shout out to Jack McGlynn, of course, just being that national team player that was. Like I said initially, we expected him fully to be in the Gold Cup roster, and he is now. So congratulations to him, and I hope the US go far. If they don't make it past the group stage, it's still good for Dynamo. So anyway, it works for me. Yep. What's up?
Yeah. Do you think he gets a lot of minutes? Do you think Pochettino is going to give him a lot of activity out there? I mean, I'm hoping.
I hope so too. I feel like he might start. I don't think he's gonna start all the games for the national team. I feel like he's gonna be coming up here and there. He might start one, but I'm gonna have to see the approach for the Gold Cup, because there's a couple teams that might surprise the US. I feel like Saudi Arabia is gonna be a hard time for them, and it's gonna really come down to them, because there's a lot of Things going on with the national team. Of course, the World Cup is next year. They're hosting it. Pulisic is on camp, so they have a lot to prove right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know that a lot of the big European names, Pulisic, Bologan, Musa, all those guys are taking the summer off, I guess, after a long, rigorous European season, and obviously players like especially the MLS players who are currently in form because it's the middle of their season. It's a great opportunity to showcase themselves, and not just showcase themselves as far as an international player. I mean, that the scouting is a every day, every season, every week type of deal. So you never know who's going to be looking, who's going to be scouting that game, and obviously not that we're trying to get McGlynn out of a Dynamo uniform or anything like that. But I mean, obviously, if he does really well and showcases himself, not only does that build confidence for himself, and maybe he brings it back to the Dynamo locker room when he gets back, But I mean, it's just obviously you want your players to have as much confidence as possible and be doing well in whatever aspect and whatever situation they're in their professionalism and their careers as well. So, I'm gonna be obviously it's a summer full of soccer, right? And obviously the national team is one of the things that we'll be focusing on a lot throughout the summertime. Obviously especially with the McGlynn being a part of it. So we hope the best, and I hope that he shows out. I hope that he makes it hard for Pochettino to not start him on a more constant basis. So we'll see. We'll see. Anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, man, that's it.
That's it. Well, Andres, you know how it goes. Let the people know where they can find us, where they can follow us, and where they can come holler at us if they want to.
Yeah, Dynamic Foxtrot is gonna be our handle for X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. We also have another handle X called Noodle Tiempo, and we try to keep you guys updated as much as possible over the course of the season for the Dynamo, Dash, and those. If you haven't seen our latest Foxtrot game day, we did cover the last two games for those and Dynamo, which were pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, don't look up the result against Sporting Kansas City, but that game against Austin FC2 was pretty good, so I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And we also just recorded Dash Dispatch earlier this week, so check that one out as well. Dash have been on international break, and they're about to come back, and they are playing this weekend. And if you can make it, go for it. I definitely recommend Dash, even though they're in their own issues, but they could definitely beat it at their own. So I hope they do that.
What is this? Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah, they're playing Orlando Pride, which is like the best team, one of the best teams in the league. So no pressure, and
never no pressure.
Never no pressure. But
what's this I'm hearing about? Maybe a cat coming to Houston or something like that.
Like, it's just smoke right now, but that's my agenda. Cat Macario from the U.S. Women's National Team. If Dash can make it happen, it will be pretty massive.
She's a
beast. They spread out. They sold Diana Ordóñez to Tigres, so they opened up a spot in the striker position, and Cat can definitely just create a lot of damage. But right now, it's just speculation, smokes and mirrors from our end. But if we speak into existence, there's a good chance it might happen. So that's what we're doing right now.
Let's put it to the universe, man. And who says we don't speak Dash on this show? And come on,
we love it.
Now, with that being said, like I said, shout out to always GR Dash guy, and check out his Dash Dispatch. Juan, check out his stuff as well.
Fox on the Box,
for sure.
Whatever you're watching, of course, YouTube might be our best place to catch all of our content. Foxtrot TV, you're definitely watching this in the stream. We do appreciate everyone that's been tuning in over time. So thank you guys again. And Goals.tv, another good platform to check out all the soccer content creators like us. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend doing so. It's Goals.tv. We do have our our profile there. Just look up Dynamic Foxtrot, and yeah, just keep up. We do appreciate your support like always. Once again, thank you so much for giving us 300 subscribers on YouTube, and we just look to keep on going.
Yeah, guys. Again, like just to hop on what Andres says. Thank you so much for the continued support. Thank you for the 300 subs on YouTube. We're obviously now looking forward to 400 and above and beyond. But with that being said, guys, like always, whether we're up or down, we're always going to be around, and we're always going to be holding it down for H-Town. So, let's go Dynamo.
Hey, just Noodle Time. Let's go.
Shout out to Kiki and the Jamaican women's national team.
Yes, sir.